I want to get a sense of how you're wired. Jason and I were discussing this yesterday. A lot of guys on the show who were maybe under recruited, whatever, hit a late growth spurt. And we just had Derek White on, who was going to go to a culinary school originally to play basketball. But we've had, Dame, Fred VanVleet, just there's countless guys, Jimmy Butler, and I always find it interesting to hear them talk about how being overlooked helped them develop a chip on their shoulder. For you, you're someone who was a top 2 player in his class along with Chet. You were always going to be a top 3 pick in the draft, but you clearly have an edge to your game. How do you sort of maintain that motivation? I think the tendency really is for young players who get a lot of adulation and a lot of love early on. They lose that edge. They get complacent.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just have a way of always like thinking somebody's, slighting me somehow. Like I'll look for some or I'll see some, like coming out of high school. I was never like all them years I was ranked top 5, top 3. I was never number 1, like never got put in that one spot. And so that always kind of messed with me because I always felt like I was doing what I needed to do. But it just felt like it never was enough. And then got to college. I think early there was some buzz that I'd go number 1, but then, majority of the year knocked me down to number 3, number 4. And then started saying, I don't play defense. Can't shoot, all that stuff. And I just use it to motivate me because I know, what type of player I want to be and what type of player I can be. And so I just got to find stuff like that to always motivate me, no matter the success I have.
Yeah. I talked with Shire this morning and he shared a couple things anecdotally about you hitting the coaching staff up to get extra shots up at night or at 7 a.m. before class or before practice. I think the word he used was self-driven. He describes you as sort of self-driven. Does that mean that being the number 1 pick in the draft, in hearing you just answer my previous question, it sounds like being the number 1 pick in the draft actually was very meaningful to you. There was a little bit of validation there, if you will.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, I mean, that's why I kind of came to tears. Like, going into that day, like draft day, I was like pretty much 100% sure I was going to go, maybe number 2, but most likely number 3. So felt like I knew where I was going. I was comfortable. I was like, look, we're about to get drafted number 3. Like, this is dope. Like, I'm smiling the whole day, but like, I'm not like if I would have got drafted number 3 or 2 or whatever, I wouldn't have cried. Like, I would have smiled, got up there and been cool.
And felt slighted. You would have felt slighted.
Yeah, for sure.
Shit. Shit.
That's just how I am though. Like, but at that point, like, it had been a whole process and I was like, all right, this is where I'm going. So we're good. As long as I get to the NBA.
Here's a question I have though, Tommy. Like, how did you not know you were going number 1? I mean,
well, I'm curious.
The entire week.
No,
the
but
entire
I'm curious
week,
about
Tommy.
this because it flipped. Yeah. I'm curious at what point you said it was the same day because
Yeah.
it was sort of a foregone conclusion that you were not going to go number 1.
Exactly.
It felt like until
and the odds flipped.
Yeah.
The bookies got wind to something.
No, I actually found out. Let's see. So, like at the draft, like 45, 30 minutes before, I think you come out with your family for like the introduction. All the guys who's in the green room come out with their parents and go on the stage and go to their table. And so while all the guys, are back there, me and my family, everybody's family, they got TVs backstage and the TVs were muted, but they had the subtitles and it was on NBA Today. So that's like Woj, I think Kendrick Perkins was on there, Richard Jefferson, like that crew that does that show. And I saw my face like on the the ticker or whatever. And it was like Banchero, like it's Magic or taking Banchero or, leaning or something like that. And I was like, oh, snap. I tapped my parents. I was like, yo, look. And like my face is on there and they're talking about it. I'm like, oh, wow. Like, so we go out to the introduction and I sit down at my table and then Mike Miller, my agent's there, already sitting. And he's just like, we got action. Like, yeah, like, how Mike is. Like, we got action. He was like, I don't know nothing's for sure, but like, we got action. Be ready. So now I'm like, okay, hold on. All right, like here we go. Like this is, I knew it wasn't just gonna be like Like I felt I was going number 3, but something in me told me it wasn't just gonna happen. Like, oh, you just go and boom. Like I knew there was gonna be some dramatics. So like the time keeps ticking. Mike's working on his phone. Mike's over there next to me. He's talking to himself. He's like locked in. I'm over there laughing. Like Mike's over there talking to himself. Like, come on, Mike. Be a fucking agent, Mike. Come on, Mike. He's on the phone. He's working. And I'm just like, man, this is crazy. And so, like, I think Woj puts out a tweet like 15 minutes later, and is like, the Magic are like basically set on taking me. And like as I'm shown that tweet, I think my dad showed me, like the cameras were on all 3 of our tables, all 3 of the guys who were supposed to go top 3, and they started all coming to my table, and that's when it kind of hit me, and I'm like, oh wow, this is about to happen. And then here comes Mike. He slams the phone in front of me with a text from, I think the Magic front office. It was like, Paolo's the pick. And he was just like, congratulations. And then probably 45 seconds later, the commissioner came out and announced the pick. And it all happened like it felt so fast. It just overwhelmed me. And like I started crying, which is crazy. Before that, I never cried tears of joy. Like I didn't really understand how that could even happen. I'd never been that happy that I've been overwhelmed like that. But yeah,
what a cool moment. Donnie, were you with these guys that night?
I was there. I wasn't at the table, but I was.
You can confirm that Mike's antics?
Yes,
yeah, he was locked in. Yeah.
As always, thank you for listening to the show. Please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Wondery, wherever you listen to your podcast. We appreciate you guys.